When someone insults you, do you lose your balance? When things go wrong, do you let them control your mind? Listen carefully. Life is going to test you every single day. People will provoke you. Situations will frustrate you. But if your mind bends every time the world pushes, then you are not free. You are owned. To be unshakable, you must master yourself. You must learn to move through chaos without letting it touch your inner peace. The greatest battle is not with others, it's with your own reactions. As Bruce Lee once said, "A quick temper will make a fool of you soon enough." True strength is calmness in motion, the ability to stay centered when everything tries to pull you apart. Here are 10 principles that will make your mind so still, so strong, that nothing and no one will ever affect you again. 1. Control the flame, not the fire of anger. When I was younger, I used to explode at the smallest things. A harsh word, a challenge, even a small inconvenience. I thought reacting fast and showing my anger was a sign of power, that it made me strong and respected. But with time, I learned that uncontrolled anger is not power, it's weakness disguised as strength. Real power is calmness under pressure. Real power is the ability to face the storm without letting it move your spirit. Anger is like fire, it has two sides. It can give you warmth, light, and energy when controlled, but if left unchecked, it will burn down everything you've built, your peace, your relationships, your focus. The goal is not to destroy your anger, but to master it, because anger, when transformed, becomes energy, energy that can fuel discipline, courage, and purpose. But when left wild, it becomes destruction. When someone provokes you, they are not attacking your body, they are testing your mastery over your mind. Anyone can throw punches, shout, or curse when they're angry, but only a true warrior can stay centered, breathe deeply, and respond with awareness. Every time you react blindly, you hand your power to the other person, they pull your strings, and you dance. But the moment you pause, the moment you take a breath before responding, you take your power back. You remind yourself, I am in control of me, no one else. So when anger rises, don't fight it, don't suppress it, just observe it. Feel the heat in your chest, the tension in your muscles, the rush in your blood, and realize that all of it is temporary. Like a wave, it rises and falls. You are not the wave, you are the ocean underneath, vast, calm, and untouched. The more you practice watching your emotions without becoming them, the stronger you become. Understand this clearly: the calm man is not weak, he is powerful beyond measure, because nothing can manipulate him, no insult can reach him, no chaos can control him. When you master your anger, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, nothing, no situation, no person, no words can move you from within. That's when you become untouchable. 2. Flow like water, adapt to every situation. Life will never move according to your plans. It will twist, turn, and break your expectations again and again. When I was young, I used to resist change. I wanted everything to happen my way. But the more I resisted, the more I suffered. One day, while watching a stream flow effortlessly over rocks and roots, I realized something profound. Water never fights what's in front of it. It bends, adapts, and finds its way. That's why it never loses. To be unshakable, you must learn from water. When obstacles appear, don't curse them, study them, flow around them, through them, or over them, but never stop moving. Water doesn't say, "Why is this rock here?" It simply moves in harmony with it. Life will always put rocks in your path: pain, loss, failure, rejection. But if you remain rigid, you'll break. Adaptability is not weakness, it's intelligence in motion. When something doesn't go your way, don't take it as punishment, take it as redirection. Every blocked path pushes you toward a better one, but only if you stay flexible enough to see it. The world belongs to those who can adjust without losing their essence. Just as water takes the shape of any container but remains water, you must take the shape of any situation without losing who you are. Flowing like water means letting go of control, but not of discipline. It means understanding that you cannot command every outcome, but you can command your reaction. When you are calm inside, you can move smoothly through chaos outside. Imagine the difference between a stiff tree in a storm and a bamboo stalk. One snaps, the other bends and survives. Be the bamboo. When people insult you, let their words flow through you. When failure meets you, don't freeze in fear, flow into improvement. When life changes direction, don't resist, move with it. That's how you remain undefeated. Being like water is the essence of strength. It doesn't fight to prove itself. It doesn't argue, yet it conquers mountains. It doesn't rush, yet it shapes worlds. When you learn to move like water, no situation can drown you. You'll adapt, transform, and emerge stronger every single time. So remember, still water reflects the sky. Disturbed water reflects distortion. When you keep your inner surface calm, life itself becomes clear. Flow like water, my friend, and nothing will ever break you again. 3. Detach from opinion, both praise and criticism. Most people live as prisoners of perception. Their peace depends on what others think, their worth depends on what others say, and their direction depends on where others point. I learned early that this is the fastest way to lose yourself. When you let people's opinions control you, you are no longer living, you are performing. You become a puppet, and every word of approval or disapproval becomes the string that pulls you. When I was building my path, people judged me constantly. Some said I was too intense, others said I would never succeed. Some praised me one day and doubted me the next. If I had listened to them, I would have lost focus, doubting every move. But I realized something powerful: opinions change like the wind, but truth remains still. If you let people's voices shape your actions, your life will become a reflection of their confusion, not your clarity. Detachment doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean ignoring people or refusing to listen. It means you listen, but you don't depend. You hear, but you don't absorb. You can take advice and feedback, but your core must stay anchored in your own understanding. True freedom begins when no praise lifts you and no criticism destroys you. Praise feels good, it feeds the ego, makes you feel seen. But if you depend on it, you become addicted to validation. The moment it disappears, so does your confidence. And criticism, it can cut deep, but only if you let it define you. Both praise and hate are traps from the same source. Ego. The one who craves to be seen and approved will always be shaken when ignored or rejected. You must reach a point where your sense of worth comes from your inner knowing, not from applause, not from attention. You must be able to walk into a room full of doubt and still believe in yourself, because your truth doesn't require agreement. A lion doesn't need the jungle to tell him he's a lion. Detach from both extremes. When someone praises you, smile, say thank you, and move on. When someone criticizes you, smile, stay silent, and move on. Because if you react to either, you are still controlled by both. Your peace must not depend on the noise of others. It must come from the silence within. Understand this: people will always talk. Some will praise your light, others will hate your shine. Some will cheer for you when you rise and secretly hope you fall. That's human nature. If you try to please everyone, you'll lose yourself trying. The truth is, no one can see your entire journey. They only see fragments, moments, decisions, results, but never your heart. So, why let them define your story? The man who detaches from opinion becomes untouchable, because no external voice can disturb his inner balance. You must reach a state where whether the crowd cheers or boos, you remain the same, steady, grounded, calm. That's not coldness, that's mastery. So stop chasing approval, stop defending yourself, stop reacting to every whisper. When you truly know yourself, you don't need to explain yourself. When you live aligned with your purpose, no judgment can shake you. Remember this: when you no longer need the world to agree with you, you have already won. Because real confidence is not built on applause, it's built on inner peace. Walk your path in silence, let results speak, and let opinions pass like clouds in the sky. Clouds come and go, but the sky remains untouched. 4. Master the inner voice before the outer world. Before you can master the world outside, you must conquer the one within. Most people believe that their greatest battle is with others, their rivals, their critics, their circumstances. But the truth is, the most dangerous enemy lives inside your own head. It whispers in your ear, questions your worth, and fills your heart with doubt when you need courage the most. That inner voice, if left untrained, will sabotage you more than any opponent ever could. When I was younger, I used to think discipline was only about training the body, punching harder, kicking faster, moving sharper. But as I grew older, I realized that the true battlefield is the mind. The body obeys the mind. Therefore, if the mind is weak, even the strongest body will collapse. Every decision, every reaction, every success begins first in your inner dialogue. What you tell yourself shapes what you become. Listen carefully. Your mind is like a mirror. It reflects whatever you feed it. If you feed it fear, you will live in hesitation. If you feed it doubt, you will shrink in every challenge. But if you feed it strength, calm, and clarity, it will project that same power into everything you do. The words you repeat to yourself daily become the architecture of your reality. Most people don't realize this. They let their minds talk to them instead of talking to their minds. That is the difference between a slave and a master. Every day, your inner voice either empowers you or destroys you. When you fail, does it say, "I told you, you're not good enough"? Or does it say, "That was a lesson, get back up"? When you face fear, does it scream, "Run away"? Or does it whisper, "Breathe, you've got this"? The strength of your life depends on which voice you choose to listen to. To master your inner voice, you must observe it first. Sit quietly and listen to how you talk to yourself. You will notice patterns. Maybe you are harsh on yourself. Maybe you constantly compare yourself. Maybe you predict failure before trying. These are habits of thought that weaken your spirit over time. Replace them consciously. When your mind says, "I can't," answer, "Why not me?" When it says, "This is too hard," reply, "Then I must grow stronger." You must train your inner dialogue just like a muscle with repetition, focus, and consistency. You see, self-mastery is not about fighting your thoughts. It's about guiding them. A mind without direction becomes chaos. It jumps from fear to desire, from anger to sadness, reacting to every emotion like a leaf blown by the wind. But when you learn to direct your thoughts to remain centered, despite the noise, you become unshakable. Calmness becomes your weapon. Stillness becomes your power. Many people try to control everything around them, their environment, their relationships, their reputation. But they forget that none of it matters if their inner world is in turmoil. You cannot control the waves of life, but you can learn to surf. You cannot silence every voice around you, but you can master the one within. And once you do, even chaos becomes quiet. Think about it when you wake up in the morning. What is the first thing your mind says to you? If it begins with worry, your entire day will be painted by anxiety. If it begins with gratitude and intention, your entire day will move with power. The tone of your life is set by the language of your thoughts. Speak to yourself as a leader, not as a victim. Speak with clarity, not confusion. Remember, your mind believes what you tell it most often, so tell it something powerful every single day. Tell it, I am in control. Tell it, I am calm. Tell it, no matter what happens, I will remain centered. The outer world will test you, people will insult you, things will fall apart, plans will fail. But if your inner voice remains grounded, you will rise again, calmly, powerfully, silently. When you train your inner voice, you stop needing motivation from outside. You stop chasing external validation because the fire inside you burns on its own. That's when you become truly free, not because life becomes easy, but because you stop being shaken by it. So train your mind daily. Meditate. Reflect. Question your thoughts. Don't let fear have the last word. Don't let doubt be the narrator of your story. You are the author. And once you learn to master your inner voice, you will no longer be a victim of life. You will be the creator of it. Because the strongest warrior is not the one who conquers others, it's the one who conquers himself. When your mind is still, no insult can disturb you, no failure can break you, and no chaos can control you. The outer world may roar, but inside there will be silence, a silence filled with unshakable power. 5. Use pain as a mirror, not a prison. Pain is life's most honest teacher. It doesn't flatter you, it doesn't lie to you, and it doesn't care about your comfort. It exposes the truth, who you are, what you fear, and how deeply you depend on things that were never meant to last. Most people run from pain because they think it's punishment, but pain is not your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you where you're still wounded, where your ego is fragile, and where your spirit still needs to grow. When I was young, I too hated pain. Every time I failed, every time I was rejected or misunderstood, I felt broken. I used to think something was wrong with me. But over time, I realized that pain was not there to destroy me. It was there to purify me. It was stripping away my illusions, my pride, my false sense of control. It was shaping me into someone stronger, clearer, more real. Pain was not a punishment, it was preparation. You see, pain will visit every human being. It doesn't discriminate. You can be rich or poor, loved or alone, and still, pain will find you. But what makes the difference between the weak and the strong is how they interpret that pain. The weak see pain as the end, the strong see it as the beginning. The weak complain, the strong reflect. The weak escape, the strong evolve. Every moment of suffering carries a hidden message, a lesson that, if learned, can elevate your consciousness. When you lose someone you love, the pain teaches you impermanence, that everything you cling to will one day pass. When you fail at something important, pain teaches you humility and patience. When life closes doors you wanted to walk through, pain teaches you redirection, that perhaps you were meant to take another path, a wiser one. But most people never listen to pain. They drown it in noise, distractions, or anger. They try to escape it instead of facing it. And so, the same lessons repeat, again and again, until they finally learn. Pain ignored is pain prolonged, but pain faced is pain transformed. When life hurts, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Sit with your pain not to suffer, but to understand it. Let it reveal the truth behind your discomfort. Maybe you're holding on to something you were supposed to release long ago. Maybe you're fighting change because you're afraid of the unknown. Maybe your pain is showing you that you've outgrown a version of yourself. Every ache has meaning if you have the courage to look at it directly. I have learned that the deeper the pain, the greater the transformation it can bring. It's like forging steel. Only through fire does it gain its strength. You can't become unbreakable without first being broken. You can't reach calmness without walking through chaos. You can't know peace until you've met pain. These are the laws of growth, uncomfortable but sacred. Pain also teaches you empathy. Once you've suffered deeply, you stop judging others so easily. You understand that every person is fighting battles unseen, carrying wounds you can't see. That realization softens your heart and deepens your humanity. You begin to see pain not as a curse, but as a bridge that connects you to others, a reminder that suffering is universal and compassion is the medicine we all need. And most importantly, pain teaches you detachment. It reminds you that nothing external is truly yours. People leave, situations change, bodies age, success fades. The more you cling, the more it hurts when life takes it away. But when you learn to appreciate everything without attaching your identity to it, pain loses its power over you. You stop saying, "This pain is killing me," and start saying, "This pain is teaching me." Do not let pain turn you bitter. Let it turn you wise. Do not let it harden you. Let it strengthen you. There's a difference between becoming cold and becoming calm. Coldness closes you off. Calmness keeps you centered. When pain visits, feel it fully, cry. Reflect, release, but don't let it define you. You are not your wounds. You are the awareness that watches them heal. Think of your pain as a mirror. It reflects what still needs your attention, what still triggers your ego, what still chains your spirit. Look into that mirror honestly, without judgment. Once you see what must change, take action. Transform your suffering into strength, your heartbreak into wisdom, your losses into lessons. Remember this, every scar on your heart is proof that you were tested and you survived. Each one tells a story of endurance, resilience, and rebirth. The pain that once made you tremble will one day become the foundation of your strength. The storm that once broke you will one day be the reason you stand tall. So don't curse the pain. Thank it. It came to awaken something deeper in you. It came to show you the truth about yourself, that you are far stronger than you think, far more capable than you imagine, and far more resilient than the world believes. When you learn to see pain as a mirror, not a prison, you no longer fear it. You face it, study it, learn from it, and move through it with grace. And when you can do that, nothing in life can truly defeat you again. Because every wound becomes wisdom, every scar becomes strength, and every moment of pain becomes the seed of your next transformation. 6. Train your mind more than your muscles. When most people think of strength, they think of muscle, of power, speed, and endurance. But true strength does not begin in the body. It begins in the mind. A weak mind will collapse long before a strong body ever does. Your body can only go as far as your mind allows it to go. That's why the greatest warriors, thinkers, and masters in history trained not just their physical form, but their inner world. They understood that the mind is the general, and the body is only the soldier. If the general loses focus, the soldier becomes lost. When I was young, I trained every day not just to fight others, but to master myself. The purpose of training was never just about kicks, punches, or power. It was about discipline, patience, and awareness. It was about learning to control my emotions, my breathing, and my reactions. Because if you can't control your mind, then your strength is meaningless. The real fight begins long before the battle. It happens in your thoughts, in the silence, when no one is watching. You can spend hours lifting weights, but if you can't lift your mood when you're broken, your muscles are useless. You can run for miles, but if you can't run from your negative thoughts, you are still trapped. The body follows the mind always. That's why mental training is the highest form of self-mastery. You must strengthen your awareness, your focus, and your inner calm until no chaos can shake it. Every day, you are training something whether you realize it or not. When you complain, you train your mind to be helpless. When you react emotionally, you train your mind to be unstable. When you procrastinate, you train your mind to surrender. But when you meditate, breathe, reflect, and stay disciplined, you train your mind to obey you, not the world. Mental training is not done in the gym. It's done in silence, in discomfort, in moments when giving up feels easier than pushing through. A strong mind is calm, deliberate, and precise. It doesn't waste energy on what it cannot control. It doesn't chase everything that moves. It doesn't break under pressure. It becomes sharper because of it. That's why I always say, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Focus is not a talent, it's a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it grows. To train your mind, start with awareness. Watch how your thoughts move. Notice when fear begins to speak, when doubt tries to take control, when temptation tries to pull you off course. Every time you resist reacting impulsively, you are strengthening your inner discipline. Every time you sit in silence and let a storm of emotion pass without acting on it, you are growing stronger. This is not easy, but mastery never is. Understand this: physical training ends when the body tires. Mental training never ends. It continues in every conversation, every challenge, every failure. Your patience, your focus, your self-control, these are the true muscles that define you. The man who can stay calm under attack, who can stay kind when insulted, who can stay steady when life turns chaotic, that man is unstoppable. You see, the body obeys commands, but the mind gives them. If your mind is chaotic, your life will be chaotic. If your mind is disciplined, your life will reflect order. That's why before you train your body, you must train your thoughts. Your body can't go where your mind has not gone first. Every victory begins in the imagination, in the quiet conviction that says, I can do this. Think about a fight before the first strike is thrown. The battle is already decided in the mind. The fighter who doubts will hesitate. The one who hesitates will lose. The one who believes completely, deeply, already has the advantage. Confidence, focus, patience, these are invisible muscles that win wars long before the first blow lands. And this is not just about fighting, it's about life. You can't control everything that happens, but you can always control how you respond. Your mind decides whether a challenge breaks you or builds you. It decides whether you see obstacles as problems or as opportunities to rise. It decides whether you react with fear or with calm precision. The man who controls his thoughts controls his destiny. To build that kind of mind, you must train it every day, like you train your body. Meditate to sharpen focus. Read to expand understanding. Reflect to increase awareness. Face discomfort to strengthen courage. Detach from distraction to deepen clarity. Every one of these practices shapes your mental foundation. The sharper your mind becomes, the lighter your struggles will feel. There will be days when your emotions are stronger than your logic. Days when anger or doubt will try to take over. That's when mental training matters most. Don't fight the emotion, observe it, watch it rise, breathe through it, and let it pass. This is how you develop power over yourself. The real victory is not in defeating another person, it's in defeating the part of yourself that keeps you weak, reactive, and unfocused. Remember, a strong body may win fights, but a strong mind wins life. Muscles fade with time, but mastery of the mind endures forever. A man with a calm mind walks through chaos untouched. He faces rejection, failure, pain, and uncertainty, and still moves forward, steady and centered. That is the mark of true power. So train your mind more than your muscles. Make silence your gym. Make focus your weapon. Make patience your strength. The body may age, but the mind, when trained, only grows sharper, deeper, and freer. Because in the end, the greatest battle you'll ever fight is not against another human being. It's against your own thoughts. Win there, and the world will never defeat you again. 7. Live without attachment, own nothing, be owned by nothing. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning how to hold everything, success, love, possessions, even your own identity, without clinging to any of it. When I was younger, I thought freedom meant having everything I wanted. Fame, respect, recognition. The world teaches you to chase them, and when you finally get them, it feels like power. But what I discovered later was the opposite. The more you cling to what you have, the more you suffer when it leaves. The more you need from life, the more it can control you. Real power is not in possessing, it's in letting go. Attachment is a silent thief. It begins innocently. You fall in love with something, someone, a moment, an image of who you want to be, and before you know it, your peace depends on it. You start saying things like, "I can't live without this," or "If I lose that, I'll fall apart." But tell me, how can you call it peace if it can be taken away? How can you call it freedom if it's chained to circumstances? The truth is, you don't own anything in this world. Not your money, not your body, not even the people you love. Everything here is temporary, just passing through. You are only a visitor. The only thing that truly belongs to you is your mind. And if your mind is attached, then you are never free, no matter how much you have. The secret to peace is learning to engage deeply, but cling lightly. To love without trying to possess. To work without becoming obsessed with the outcome. To enjoy beauty without needing it to last forever. Because everything you hold too tightly will eventually slip away, and the tighter you grip, the more it hurts. The wise don't resist this truth, they flow with it. That is freedom. You see, the mind always wants control. It wants to decide what should happen and when. It wants certainty, comfort, and permanence in a world that offers none of those things. But when life doesn't move according to your script, you suffer. You get frustrated, angry, anxious, not because of life itself, but because of your attachment to how you think life should be. The problem isn't that you have desires, it's that your desires own you. Let me tell you something: you can have goals, dreams, and ambition without being enslaved by them. The key is to act with intention but stay detached from the result. Pour your heart into your work, give your best effort, but once it's done, release it. Don't let your mind obsess over whether people approve, whether it succeeds, or whether it meets your expectations. If it's meant for you, it will come. If not, it was never yours to begin with. That's what it means to live without attachment, doing everything with full focus, but not depending on the outcome for your peace. Attachment doesn't only exist in material things, it exists in ideas, identities, and emotions too. You might be attached to the idea of being right, to the need to be admired, to a story about yourself that you've outgrown but are too afraid to release. Sometimes you're attached to your own pain because it's familiar. You replay old memories, hold grudges, and refuse to forgive, thinking it keeps you strong. But attachment to pain only ensures you keep reliving it. You cannot heal if you keep touching the wound. When you begin to live without attachment, you stop being controlled by what leaves. You stop fearing change because you no longer depend on things staying the same. You realize that everything you lose is simply making space for something new to enter. The universe is constantly in motion. Everything grows, fades, and transforms. The person who fights this truth will always suffer. The one who accepts it becomes unshakable. Living without attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care deeply, but with awareness. You give your heart to people, to dreams, to moments, but you understand that they are not permanent. You enjoy them while they exist, and when they end, you let them go with gratitude instead of grief. When you reach that state, your peace no longer depends on external conditions. It comes from within. Think of a tree. It doesn't cling to its leaves. It nourishes them, gives them life, and when the season changes, it lets them fall. The tree doesn't cry for what's gone. It trusts that new leaves will grow. That is the rhythm of existence: giving, growing, releasing, renewing. The human being suffers only because he tries to resist this natural rhythm. He wants to hold summer forever, forgetting that winter is also necessary. I have seen people lose everything: money, fame, even loved ones, and completely fall apart. Not because loss itself was unbearable, but because their identity was built upon what they lost. When who you are depends on what you have, you will always live in fear. But when who you are is rooted in awareness, in inner strength, in calm detachment, you can lose everything and still remain whole. You can walk through fire and still stay centered. That's true invincibility. To practice detachment, start small. Notice the little things that disturb your peace: a rude comment, a delayed plan, a small failure, and instead of reacting, observe your reaction. Ask yourself, why am I disturbed? What am I attached to? You'll often find that it's your need for control, your desire for approval, or your fear of uncertainty. The more you question these attachments, the weaker they become. Over time, you start to realize that nothing external truly has the power to disturb you unless you hand that power over. Every time you let go, you grow lighter. The burdens you've been carrying, resentment, expectation, fear, begin to dissolve. You move through life like water, free, fluid, and calm. When people change, you wish them well and continue walking your path. When opportunities pass, you trust that others will come. When things end, you thank them for their time and release them with grace. You stop chasing, and strangely, that's when everything begins to come to you effortlessly, because what is meant for a free mind can always find its way home. Detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel everything deeply, but nothing can possess you. You can love someone fully and still know that your happiness doesn't depend on them. You can work passionately and still remain peaceful if success doesn't arrive. You can experience joy without the fear of losing it, because you've learned that every moment is complete in itself. Freedom from attachment is the highest form of mastery. It's not about owning less, it's about not being owned. You can live in a palace or in a small room and still be free, because freedom is not a condition, it's a state of mind. The more you let go, the more life flows through you. The more you detach from results, the more effortlessly success finds you. The more you stop clinging to people, the deeper your love becomes, because it's no longer polluted by fear of loss. Let me tell you a truth one day. Everything you have will be taken away. Every possession, every relationship, even your body. That's not tragedy, that's reality. The tragedy is living your whole life in fear of that truth. If you can accept it now, if you can make peace with impermanence, you will live fully, freely, and fearlessly. So train your mind every day to let go. Don't say, I can't live without this. Say, even without it, I remain whole. Don't say, this must stay forever. Say, I am grateful it existed at all. Practice this in small ways. Detach from your expectations, from the need to be understood, from the need to win every argument. As your mind learns to release, your spirit will start to rise. Because in the end, peace doesn't come from holding on, it comes from knowing that you can lose everything and still remain yourself. You will stop being owned by fear, by desire, by opinion. You will stop chasing what was never yours to keep, and you will finally taste what it means to be free. To live without attachment is to walk through fire and not be burned. To love deeply and still let go when it's time. To give your best and remain calm when results don't appear. To own nothing and yet lack nothing. That is the way of true mastery. That is the way of peace. When you own nothing, not even your image, your pride, or your plans. Life can no longer threaten you. The world can take everything from you, but it can't touch your stillness. It can't touch your awareness. It can't touch your freedom. That's when you finally understand what it means to be untouchable, not because you control everything, but because nothing controls you. 8. The art of inner stillness. Calm is your greatest weapon. In a world that never stops moving, stillness feels like rebellion. We live in an age where everyone is rushing, chasing success, validation, money, and noise. People confuse movement with progress, noise with importance, and distraction with purpose. But a mind that is constantly running can never see clearly. It reacts instead of responds, panics instead of plans, and collapses instead of conquers. That is why inner stillness is not weakness, it's power. It is the foundation upon which all mastery is built. When I was younger, I thought speed meant strength. I wanted to move fast, strike fast, win fast. But over time, I discovered that the faster your mind moves, the more mistakes it makes. True mastery is calm, deliberate, aware, grounded. It is like water in a still pond. It reflects everything clearly. But if the surface is disturbed, even the brightest moon becomes distorted. The same goes for your mind. When you are restless inside, nothing is seen as it truly is. You exaggerate threats, overreact to criticism, and misjudge situations. You become your own enemy. Calmness doesn't mean passivity. It means control not of the world, but of yourself. It's the ability to hold your composure when chaos erupts around you. Anyone can remain centered when life is easy, but the warrior remains still when the storm hits. That's the difference between those who fall and those who rise. When your mind is still, you can see patterns others miss. You can find opportunity where others only see obstacles. You can hear the truth hidden beneath the noise. That is why I always say, stillness is not the absence of action. It is the highest form of action because it gives direction to all your movements. Most people spend their days reacting to opinions, to emotions, to uncertainty. They are puppets of circumstance. Someone insults them, and they explode. Something fails, and they lose faith. The world pushes, and they move blindly. But the one who has cultivated inner stillness cannot be provoked so easily. When chaos arrives, he observes first, breathes second, and acts third. Every move he makes is measured and intentional. That is real strength, not to be unaffected because you don't feel, but to feel everything and still remain composed. Stillness begins with awareness. Awareness of your breath, of your thoughts, of your emotions. Your breath is the anchor that connects the body and the mind. When the mind races, the breath becomes shallow. When the breath slows, the mind follows. That's why ancient masters trained in the art of breathing not to survive, but to command the rhythm of their being. If you can control your breath, you can control your thoughts. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your life. Try this. When anger rises, don't speak. Don't move. Just breathe deeply, slowly, deliberately. Watch how your heartbeat slows. Watch how the fire begins to settle. The problem is never the emotion itself, it's the reaction to it. When you build a habit of breathing through your storms, you stop being ruled by impulse. You begin to live consciously. That is the seed of inner stillness. To cultivate calmness, you must also master solitude. Most people fear being alone because, in silence, their thoughts grow louder. They distract themselves to avoid facing what's inside. But silence is not empty, it's full of answers. When you sit quietly, you begin to hear the voice beneath the noise, the voice of truth, clarity, and intuition. You start to understand that peace is not something you find outside. It's something you uncover within. Every great warrior, every thinker, every enlightened being, they all discovered this truth. Solitude is not isolation, It's communion with the self. When your mind is still, you stop seeking validation. You stop chasing constant stimulation. You stop fighting the present moment. You realize that nothing external can give you lasting peace because everything external changes. Only the quiet within you stays constant. You start to notice small things again, the rhythm of your footsteps, the sound of wind, the simplicity of breath. That awareness reconnects you to life as it is, not as your mind imagines it. And once you become present, the world slows down for you, even when everything around you moves fast. People often ask me, how can I stay calm when life is unfair? My answer is simple: you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. Life will never stop testing you. You will lose people. You will face failure. You will be misunderstood. But calmness doesn't mean pretending those things don't hurt. It means they no longer control your reaction. It means understanding that pain is temporary and peace is a choice. The still mind sees the storm, but does not become it. When you are calm, you don't stop the storm, you simply stop being shaken by it. You begin to realize that your peace doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It depends on the strength of what's happening within you. You start to trust the flow of life, even when it doesn't make sense. You stop trying to force outcomes and start working in harmony with time. That's why stillness is the most dangerous weapon you can possess, because in a world addicted to reaction, calm people are untouchable. The calm mind is creative, observant, strategic. It doesn't waste energy fighting reality. It studies it. When something unexpected happens, the still person doesn't panic. He adapts. He doesn't rush to speak. He listens. He doesn't let his emotions dictate his decisions. He uses them as information. That's how you stay one step ahead of chaos, not by running faster, but by moving wiser. Look at nature. The mountain doesn't move when the wind howls. The river doesn't complain when the path changes. The sky doesn't fight the storm, it simply lets it pass. That's what true calmness is, knowing that everything is temporary. Pain will pass, fear will pass, confusion will pass, but if you lose your inner stillness, even the smallest wind will break you. Calmness also reveals truth in others. When you are still, people's energy becomes clear to you. You start to see who acts out of fear and who acts out of love. You stop being fooled by appearances because your intuition sharpens. You begin to understand what others can't, that most people's aggression is just unhealed pain trying to protect itself. Instead of reacting to their chaos, you respond with quiet strength. And that quiet strength disarms everything around you. In stillness, you also meet your true self. Beneath your ambitions, fears, and doubts, there is a space within you that has never been touched by chaos. It is silent, eternal, and indestructible. Most people never reach that space because they're too busy chasing the noise outside. But when you sit still long enough, you'll feel it, that deep, calm presence inside you that doesn't need anything to be at peace. Once you touch that part of yourself, you realize that no insult, no loss, no failure can ever destroy you again, because your identity is no longer tied to the temporary. Every morning, before you start your day, sit in silence, even for a few minutes. Don't check your phone, don't rush into plans, just breathe. Listen to your heartbeat. Feel your existence. You'll notice something powerful. The world becomes slower, your thoughts clearer, and your energy lighter. That is the strength of stillness. It prepares you to face the world without being consumed by it. To live in calmness is not to escape life's storms. It's to learn how to dance in the rain without losing your rhythm. It's to look at chaos and say, "You cannot touch me." It's to be so deeply rooted in awareness that even when the ground shakes, you remain unmoved. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of mastery. Stillness is not a technique. It's a lifestyle. It's choosing patience when anger is easier. It's choosing silence when reaction is tempting. It's choosing observation over judgment. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice how much energy you save. You'll see how many problems resolve themselves when you stop adding emotion to them. You'll learn that sometimes the best action is no action, just watching, understanding, and then moving with precision. So remember this: calmness is not something you search for. It's something you uncover when you stop feeding chaos. Stop chasing every thought. Stop reacting to every emotion. Stop letting noise define your peace. You are not your anger, not your stress, not your confusion. You are the still awareness behind it all. When your mind becomes calm, life starts to reflect that calmness back to you. Your relationships become easier, your work becomes clearer, your purpose becomes stronger, because clarity is born from stillness, not from chaos. And once you master calmness, nothing, not failure, not pain, not loss, can ever truly disturb you again. In the end, this is the ultimate secret. The most powerful person in any room is not the loudest, not the strongest, not the one with authority. It is the one who remains calm when everyone else loses control. The one who breathes while others break. The one who acts from stillness, not from panic. Be that person. Train your mind until peace becomes your natural state. Because when you master stillness, the world cannot touch you. You will walk through life with quiet confidence, not because everything is easy, but because you have learned that no matter what happens, you will remain unshaken. That is the art of inner stillness. That is how you become untouchable. And that is the final form of strength. 9. Master the art of emotional alchemy. Turn every emotion into power. Emotions are the raw energy of human existence. They are not your enemy, nor are they your weakness. They are your teachers if you know how to listen. Most people spend their entire lives being slaves to their emotions. When they're happy, they feel unstoppable. When they're angry, they lose control. When they're sad, they collapse. Their emotions command them, and they obey. But a warrior of the mind, a master of the self, learns to do the opposite. He commands his emotions. He uses them like tools, channels them like water, and transforms them into energy that fuels his purpose. This is emotional alchemy, the art of turning your emotions into power instead of pain. When I was young, I believed emotions made me weak. I thought to feel deeply was to lose control. But the truth is the opposite. Emotions are not the problem, the lack of awareness is. It's not anger that destroys you, it's unconscious anger. It's not sadness that breaks you, it's the refusal to face it. Every emotion has a message, and every message carries energy. If you can decode that message and direct that energy, you become unstoppable. Let's begin with anger. Anger is fire, and fire is not evil. It cooks your food, gives you warmth, lights your path. But if you let it burn without control, it consumes everything. When someone provokes you, your ego wants to fight, to prove, to defend. But the wise person doesn't react. He feels the fire rising, then breathes, letting it fuel his focus instead of his fury. Anger, when transformed, becomes clarity. It becomes discipline. It becomes the energy to correct what's wrong without becoming wrong himself. The greatest battles in life are not fought with fists, they're fought with awareness. Then there is fear. Fear paralyzes most people. It makes them retreat from opportunity, hide from truth, and avoid growth. But fear is not an enemy, it's a signal. It tells you where your boundaries end, where your next level begins. When you feel fear, don't run from it. Study it. Ask it, what are you protecting me from? Fear often guards the very door that leads to your greatness. Behind every fear lies freedom. So, the next time fear whispers, "You can't," smile and say, "That means I must." Use fear as your compass, not your cage. And sadness, that heavy ache, that makes your chest feel hollow, it too has purpose. Sadness cleanses the heart. It slows you down so you can see what truly matters. It humbles your ego and connects you to the human experience. There is strength in sorrow if you allow it to teach you tenderness. When you let sadness move through you instead of trapping it inside, it transforms into wisdom. It makes you gentler, more compassionate, more real. Every emotion, even the darkest ones, can be transmuted into strength. Guilt can become accountability. Envy can become inspiration. Frustration can become focus. Fear can become fuel. Pain can become purpose. This is emotional alchemy, the process of turning inner storms into power. But to do that, you must learn one essential skill: observation. You must observe your emotions without judgment. Don't label them as good or bad. Don't say, "I shouldn't feel this." The moment you resist an emotion, it grows stronger. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. So when anger arises, simply notice it. When fear creeps in, acknowledge it. When sadness visits, allow it to sit for a while. Because when you observe without resistance, the energy of that emotion starts to change shape. It softens, it opens, it becomes usable. This is why meditation is not about suppressing emotion, it's about understanding it. When you sit in stillness, you begin to see the patterns of your emotions. You realize that emotions are like waves, they rise, peak, and fall. No emotion lasts forever. Every feeling that once seemed unbearable eventually fades. Once you see this truth with your own eyes, you stop being afraid of your emotions. You stop clinging to happiness and running from sadness. You start flowing with the rhythm of life, knowing that nothing is permanent, not even your feelings. People often say, control your emotions, but I say, transform them. Control implies suppression, and suppressed energy always returns as tension, illness, or anger. Transformation, on the other hand, means expression through awareness. You don't push it down, you redirect it. You take the energy of your emotions and channel it into something higher: movement, creation, discipline, compassion. That is the way of mastery. Imagine this: a man insults you. You feel anger rising, your heart beating faster, your body heating up. Most people react instantly. They shout, fight, or withdraw. But you, as a master, take a breath. You let the anger settle in your body, and then you ask yourself, what is this showing me? Maybe it's not about him, maybe it's about your ego's need to prove itself. Maybe it's teaching you patience, reminding you that others' actions don't define you. The moment you see the lesson, the emotion loses its control. You've turned anger into awareness, and awareness into wisdom. Emotional alchemy requires patience. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally intelligent. Most people think power means never showing weakness, never crying, never breaking. But that's not power, that's fear wearing armor. Real strength is the ability to feel everything fully and still remain grounded. It's to cry without shame, to feel pain without losing yourself, to love without being possessed by attachment. That's the art of emotional mastery. You must also understand that emotions are energy in motion. That's why they're called emotions. They need to move through you. If you trap them, they turn toxic. That's why some people explode in rage or collapse in anxiety, because they've been carrying emotions they never processed. When you feel emotion rising, don't bury it. Move your body, breathe deeply, write it out, speak it honestly. Express it in a way that doesn't harm you or anyone else. Energy must move to evolve. The most powerful people you'll ever meet are not those who never feel pain. They're the ones who have learned to turn pain into purpose. They use heartbreak to deepen their understanding of love. They use rejection to strengthen self-worth. They use failure to sharpen focus. They use humiliation to grow humility. They use every emotion as material for growth. They are alchemists of the soul. Remember this: your emotions are not random. They are responses designed to show you where you need awareness. Each one is a message from your deeper self. Anger says, something needs to change. Fear says, something needs courage. Sadness says, something needs healing. Jealousy says, something needs self-belief. Instead of fighting your emotions, start learning from them. Let them reveal the truth about what you value, what you avoid, and what still wounds you. Once you see their purpose, you can work with them, not against them. The greatest transformation happens when you stop labeling emotions as positive or negative. There are no negative emotions, only emotions you haven't yet mastered. The more you understand them, the more peaceful you become. You'll realize that emotions are like the weather, they come and go, but you are the sky that remains. When you know this, you can experience any storm without losing your clarity. Emotional mastery also brings power in relationships. When you're calm and aware, you stop being reactive. You stop saying things you later regret. You stop absorbing others' negativity. Instead, your presence begins to influence them. People feel safe around calm energy. Your silence becomes louder than their anger. Your patience becomes a mirror that exposes their restlessness. Without saying a word, you begin to teach others how to transform, simply by embodying control. But remember, this is not about perfection. Even masters feel pain, fear, and frustration. The difference is, they don't let it define them. They let it pass through. Every emotion is like a visitor. It knocks, stays for a while, and then leaves. Don't make it your home. Let it visit. Learn what it came to teach, and then say goodbye. Over time, as you practice emotional alchemy, something magical happens. You stop fearing life. You stop fearing failure. You stop fearing loss. Because you realize that no matter what emotion life brings you, joy, sadness, anger, fear, you can transform it into something meaningful. You become indestructible. When you reach this level, you no longer run from your emotions. You welcome them. Because every emotion is energy, and energy is power. Power to heal, to create, to love, to grow. You realize that the purpose of emotion is evolution. It's how life communicates with your soul. So, when you feel intense emotion, don't resist it. Sit down, breathe, watch it like a storm passing over the ocean. Feel its energy fully, and then decide where to direct it. Let anger become clarity. Let fear become courage. Let sadness become compassion. Let love become strength. That's the art of emotional alchemy, turning the chaos of emotion into the calm of awareness. Remember, you can't control what you feel, but you can control what you do with what you feel. The difference between a slave and a master lies in that choice. Every emotion you experience can either destroy you or transform you. The power is always in your hands. Master this, and nothing in the world can shake you again, because even when life throws fire, you'll know how to turn it into light. 10. Be empty. The power of letting go of the self. There comes a point in every person's journey when they realize that all their struggle, all their noise, all their inner conflict comes from one source, the self they are trying so hard to protect. The I that wants to win, to prove, to control, to be seen, to be right. That is the source of your suffering. You think the world is against you, but in truth, it is your own ego that is fighting the world. You want things to go your way, people to act according to your expectations, life to bend to your desires, and every time it doesn't, you feel pain. But the day you learn to empty yourself, to let go of the need to be anyone, to be anything, that is the day you become truly free. When I was younger, I trained relentlessly to perfect my body, my skill, my reputation. But one night, after a long day of training, I sat in silence and asked myself, who is it that is training so hard? Who is it that wants to prove himself? And in that question, something shattered. I realized that the greatest fight was not against an opponent, it was against my own image of who I thought I was. The ego is like a mask. The longer you wear it, the more you forget your true face. To be empty means to be free of identity. It doesn't mean you stop existing. It means you stop existing as a fixed idea. You become fluid, formless, and adaptable. The same way water fills any container, an empty mind can flow through any circumstance without resistance. That's why emptiness is not weakness, it's flexibility. It allows you to respond perfectly to each moment because you are no longer trapped in the idea of how things should be. Think about it. When your cup is full, nothing new can enter. When your mind is full of opinions, fears, and past wounds, truth cannot reach you. You keep repeating the same patterns, reacting the same way, suffering the same cycles, all because your mind is overcrowded. To learn, to evolve, to truly live, you must first make space. You must pour out everything you think you know, everything you cling to, everything you believe you must defend. Then, and only then, can life pour something new into you. The world is full of people shouting to be seen, desperate to be recognized. Everyone wants to stand out. But what if I told you that true power is not in being seen, it's in becoming invisible? When you let go of the need to prove, you become peaceful. When you let go of the need to defend, you become strong. When you let go of the need to control, life begins to move effortlessly through you. That's what I mean when I say, be empty. Emptiness doesn't mean absence. It means openness. It means that nothing can stick to you for long. Praise doesn't lift you. Criticism doesn't crush you. Success doesn't inflate you. Failure doesn't define you. You flow through experiences like wind, through a forest, touching everything, holding nothing. When you reach this state, your energy becomes limitless because it is no longer trapped by resistance. You no longer waste energy trying to maintain an image. You simply exist, aware, alive, light as air. Letting go of the self is not easy because the ego will fight to survive. It will whisper, "Without me, who will you be?" It will convince you that if you stop chasing validation, you'll disappear. But the truth is the opposite. The moment you let go of your false self, you return to your real essence. You become more alive than ever before. You stop living to impress and start living to express. You stop fearing loss because you realize that nothing real can ever be lost. What's real cannot die, only illusions do. The greatest barrier to peace is the illusion of control. You think you can control life, your career, your relationships, your path. But life is far greater than your plans. When you try to force things, you fight the current and exhaust yourself. But when you let go and trust, life carries you exactly where you need to go. That is what it means to flow, to move in harmony with the universe, not against it. When you empty yourself of the need to be right, arguments dissolve. When you empty yourself of the need to win, every experience becomes a teacher. When you empty yourself of pride, learning becomes effortless. When you empty yourself of fear, courage arises naturally. In emptiness, all virtues are born: patience, humility, compassion, clarity. Because in emptiness, there is no me to defend, only presence to experience. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want. But that's not freedom, that's dependence on desire. Real freedom is when nothing owns you anymore. Not your habits, not your anger, not your attachments, not even your thoughts. Freedom is when you can say, I have emotions, but they do not have me. I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. I play many roles, but none of them define me. That's what it means to live from emptiness. You act in the world fully, yet remain untouched by it. Look at nature again. The sky is empty, yet it holds the sun, the clouds, the storms. The ocean is empty, yet it carries endless waves. The bamboo is hollow, yet it's flexible and strong. Emptiness is not nothingness, it's infinite potential. When your mind becomes empty, you become vast, like the sky. Things can pass through you, but nothing can harm you. You no longer cling to happiness or resist sadness, both are welcome guests. You no longer chase life, you let life unfold through you. When you are full of ego, you interpret everything personally. Every insult feels like an attack. Every failure feels like proof of inadequacy. Every loss feels like the end. But when you are empty, you no longer take things personally because there is no self left to be offended. You see life objectively. People act based on their own conditioning, just as you once did. Their actions no longer disturb your peace. You respond with understanding instead of reaction, with clarity instead of confusion. That's the power of emptiness. It frees you from the tyranny of emotion. To practice this, start observing your mind. Watch how often it says, I, me, mine. Every time you feel anger, ask, what is my ego trying to protect? Every time you feel fear, ask, what am I afraid to lose? Every time you feel pride, ask, why do I need to feel superior? The more you question the I, the more it begins to dissolve. And as it dissolves, peace enters. You realize that behind all those thoughts and emotions, there is a silent awareness that never changes. That's your true self. The one beyond the name, beyond the body, beyond identity. That awareness is pure, emptiness, vast, still, unshakable. Letting go of the self doesn't mean you stop caring or acting. It means you act without attachment. You work, but you are not owned by success or failure. You love, but you don't chain others with expectations. You help, but you don't seek credit. You live fully, but lightly, without carrying the heavy burden of ego. When your actions flow from this state, they are more powerful, more precise, more graceful, because they are not tainted by fear or pride. People spend years trying to build an identity. Who am I? What's my purpose? How do I stand out? But purpose doesn't come from defining yourself. It comes from dissolving yourself. When you stop trying to be special, you start becoming useful. You move from self-importance to service, from look at me to how can I serve. And that shift changes everything. You stop being one drop trying to control the ocean and become the ocean itself, vast, deep, free. Understand this: when you are empty, you are no longer limited by who you think you are. You can adapt, evolve, and recreate yourself endlessly. You can enter any space, any challenge, and fit perfectly. Because you are formless. You are not trapped by identity. You become infinite possibility. That's what true mastery is: not being everything, but being nothing, so you can become anything. So let go. Let go of the idea of perfection. Let go of your fears of failure. Let go of needing recognition. Let go of who you think you should be. Empty yourself of everything you carry: old pain, grudges, expectations. When you do, you'll discover something extraordinary. Peace is not something you have to chase. It's what's left when you stop holding on. Be like water, clear, calm, adaptable. Be like the sky, vast and unbothered. Be like space, holding everything, yet attached to nothing. Because when you are empty, you are no longer limited. Nothing can affect you, because there is nothing for life to strike. The arrow passes through the empty man untouched. That is the highest state of freedom, not victory over others, but liberation from yourself. Remember this truth: the one who lets go of everything gains everything. The one who empties himself of pride is filled with wisdom. The one who abandons control is given peace. The one who dies to his false self begins to live as his true nature. That is the final stage of mastery, to be so empty that life can move through you freely, effortlessly, gracefully. You don't resist it, you dance with it. You don't demand from it, you align with it. You don't chase peace, you become peace. And when you reach that point, when you are empty, and still nothing in the world can ever affect you again, because there is no you left to be affected, only pure awareness watching life unfold in perfect harmony. That is freedom, that is power, that is enlightenment. 11. The power of unbreakable focus, the mind that cannot be distracted, cannot be defeated. Distraction is the greatest enemy of modern humanity. You may not realize it, but every time your mind wanders, every time you scroll mindlessly, every time you allow a trivial thought to pull you away from what truly matters, you are giving away your power piece by piece. The most dangerous weapon a man can wield is not a sword or a gun, it's a focused mind. The man who cannot be distracted cannot be defeated. When I was young, I discovered that my greatest strength was not speed, not power, but focus. The ability to direct all my energy toward one single point, mind, body, and spirit, until that target became my entire world. Every punch, every kick, every breath came from that same center of awareness. Focus is the bridge between intention and manifestation. Without it, your energy is scattered, and scattered energy achieves nothing. But when focus is mastered, you become unstoppable, because all of your energy moves in one direction. Most people are not defeated by their enemies, they are defeated by distraction. They set goals, but lose focus halfway. They want peace, but chase noise. They dream of mastery, but waste time on what doesn't matter. Their minds are like a monkey, always jumping from one branch to another. One moment they are in the past, regretting what's gone. The next moment they are in the future, worrying about what hasn't happened yet. They rarely exist in the present, and that is why they rarely find peace. Focus is presence. It is being fully here, fully alive, fully aware of this moment. It's not about suppressing thoughts, it's about training your attention. Your mind is like a muscle. The more you train it to return to the present, the stronger it becomes. Every time you bring your focus back from distraction, you are sharpening the blade of your awareness. Over time, that blade becomes so precise that it can cut through confusion, fear, and doubt effortlessly. But here's the truth: focus is not something you find, it's something you create. You must build it through discipline. The world today is designed to steal your attention. Every sound, every notification, every piece of digital noise is a hook meant to pull your mind outward. The more you allow yourself to be pulled, the weaker your internal world becomes. A mind that chases everything loses itself. A mind that stays still begins to see clearly. To build focus, you must practice saying no, not just to people, but to impulses. You must learn to sit in boredom without reaching for distraction. You must learn to finish what you start, even when it's not exciting. Focus grows through friction, through the moments when your mind wants to run, but you make it stay. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your focus strengthens when you face discomfort without giving in. The secret is to live each moment as if it's the only one that exists, because it is. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but the present is the only place where life truly happens. When your attention fully rests in the present, even simple actions become sacred. Drinking water, breathing, walking, training, everything becomes meditation. Focus turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Let me tell you something. The world will constantly test your focus. It will throw distractions, emotions, and chaos your way. It will challenge your patience and your priorities. The key is not to avoid these tests, but to use them. Every distraction is an opportunity to strengthen awareness. Every temptation to give up is a chance to prove your discipline. You must remind yourself every time you control your attention, you reclaim your power. A distracted mind is a weak mind. It's easily influenced, easily manipulated, easily shaken. But a focused mind is like a blade, sharp, calm, and precise. It doesn't react, it decides. It doesn't get lost, it moves with purpose. When you are focused, you stop wasting energy on gossip, complaints, or envy. You stop comparing yourself to others because your eyes are locked on your own path. Focus creates tunnel vision toward growth. Every great achievement in history was born from obsessive focus. The sculptor who carved beauty from stone, the philosopher who uncovered truth through thought, the warrior who trained until his body became an instrument, all of them shared one thing: an undistracted mind. You cannot reach greatness by dabbling in too many directions. You must give yourself entirely to your craft, your purpose, your path until nothing else exists. Focus also requires clarity. You cannot concentrate on what you do not understand. Most people lack focus because they have no vision. They drift through life reacting to everything that comes their way, never stopping to ask, what truly matters to me? Without clarity, your mind has nowhere to rest. To master focus, you must know your why. What drives you? What are you building? What do you stand for? Once that is clear, distractions lose their grip because everything that doesn't serve your purpose becomes invisible. In my training, I used to practice not only physical movements but stillness. I would stand for hours in silence, breathing slowly, feeling every sensation in my body, observing every thought without chasing it. This was not about doing nothing, it was about mastering awareness. I was training myself to stay unshaken in every situation, because once your mind is trained to remain focused under stillness, it will remain focused under stress. Understand, this focus is not rigidity. It is fluid concentration. It adapts without losing direction. It's like an arrow flying through wind. No matter how strong the gusts, it keeps moving toward the target. That's the power of the trained mind. It doesn't resist life. It flows with it while maintaining purpose. Focus is also tied to energy. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. If your attention is divided among 100 meaningless things, your power is scattered. But if you direct all of your attention toward one purpose: growth, discipline, and mastery, then your energy becomes unstoppable. The mind and energy are partners. Wherever the mind rests, the energy follows. So if your mind rests in chaos, your energy will feel chaotic. If your mind rests in calm determination, your energy becomes sharp and unshakable. To master focus, you must also master recovery. The mind, like the body, needs periods of rest to function at its highest capacity. In the modern world, people never rest their minds. They are always consuming, always reacting. True rest comes from silence, solitude, and presence. Disconnect from noise, from endless scrolling, from opinions. Spend time in nature, breathe deeply, and allow your thoughts to settle. The calmer your internal world becomes, the easier focus becomes. A truly focused person does not need motivation, because focus itself becomes motivation. When you are deeply absorbed in your path, there is no resistance, no hesitation. You are simply one with your task. This is the state of flow where time disappears, effort feels effortless, and consciousness merges with action. That is the ultimate goal of focus, to dissolve the separation between the doer and the doing. In that moment, you are no longer training, you are the training. You are no longer fighting, you are the fight. Focus also gives birth to peace. When your mind is focused, it stops wandering into regrets of the past or fears of the future. It finds home in the now, and the now is always peaceful. That's why the masters of all traditions, martial, spiritual, artistic, speak of focus as the gateway to enlightenment. A distracted mind lives in illusion. A focused mind sees truth. So how do you begin? Start small. Choose one task and give it your full attention, whether it's eating, reading, or training. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Don't get angry at distraction that only strengthens it. Just return to the present, again and again. Slowly, your attention will become stronger, steadier, clearer. What once felt like chaos will begin to feel like calm. And as your focus deepens, you will notice a profound change. You will stop chasing. You will stop reacting. You will stop fearing. Because distraction is born from fear. Fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of silence. But once you see that nothing outside of you holds real power, your attention becomes a weapon, not a weakness. Focus is the gateway to mastery, and mastery is the gateway to freedom. When your mind can stay centered no matter what happens around you, no one can control you. The opinions of others lose meaning. The noise of the world becomes background music. You act with clarity, speak with precision, and move with intention. That is the ultimate strength, to be so focused, so present, that nothing external can shake your internal world. You are aware of everything, but attached to nothing. You move with purpose, but remain still inside. That is the mind of a warrior. That is the way of mastery. Remember, you do not need more time, you need more focus. Because when your mind is focused, 1 hour of action is worth more than 1,000 hours of distraction. The undistracted mind bends reality itself. It creates, shapes, and transforms. So train your focus every day in silence, in struggle, in stillness. Direct your awareness like a laser, and soon your energy will become unstoppable. Because when the mind cannot be distracted, it cannot be defeated. And that, my friend, is the highest victory. 12. The warrior of peace, strength without violence, power without ego. In a world obsessed with dominance, control, and proving superiority, the idea of being both a warrior and peaceful seems like a contradiction, but it isn't. It's the ultimate balance. Anyone can fight when provoked. Anyone can destroy when angry. But very few can remain powerful and still choose peace. That is not weakness, that is mastery. The one who can conquer himself no longer needs to conquer others. When I was younger, I thought fighting was everything. To defeat, to win, to stand above others, that's what I believed made me strong. But through years of training and reflection, I discovered something profound. The purpose of a warrior is not to fight, but to protect. The purpose of strength is not to dominate, but to uplift. True power has nothing to prove. It doesn't scream, it doesn't boast, it simply is. Peace is not passive. It is the most active form of control. It takes enormous strength to remain calm when disrespected, to stay centered when everything around you falls apart, to respond with wisdom when others react with ego. Weak men are easily provoked. The strong remain still, because they know that reacting out of anger is handing your power away. The warrior of peace understands that the greatest victory is not over others, it's over oneself. The battle is always within. You can defeat 1,000 men in combat and still be enslaved by fear, envy, and rage. But the one who conquers his inner chaos has already won the highest war. Peace is not given to you. You build it, moment by moment, through self-mastery. You build it every time you choose silence over argument, patience over reaction, compassion over pride. Being a warrior of peace means knowing when to act and when to wait. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every challenge needs confrontation. The untrained mind thinks fighting makes you strong. The trained mind knows that sometimes walking away takes more strength. Because true confidence doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to prove its power. It simply exists in silence. Understand, this peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the ability to remain calm in the middle of it. A warrior of peace doesn't avoid conflict, he faces it without losing control. He moves with precision, not emotion. He strikes only when necessary and only with intention. He knows that violence used without purpose is just weakness disguised as power. But when power is guided by awareness, even a single movement can restore balance. Peace is born from understanding. The more you understand yourself, the less you judge others. The more you understand pain, the more compassion you feel. The more you understand fear, the less others can control you with it. Every emotion, every reaction, every desire becomes a mirror, showing you where your inner work lies. The warrior of peace studies himself endlessly. He sharpens his awareness like a sword. He knows that the mind, not the muscle, determines victory. The ego always seeks to win. It wants to be seen, praised, recognized. But the warrior of peace transcends ego. He doesn't act for applause. He doesn't seek revenge. He acts because it is right, not because it feels good. His strength comes from alignment with truth, not from external validation. The ego wants control. Peace wants harmony. One drains you, the other sustains you. To live as a warrior of peace, you must master restraint. You must learn the art of doing nothing when doing nothing is wise. Many people act out of fear of appearing weak. They want to defend their image, their pride. But a master knows that restraint is not cowardice, it is intelligence. Just as a tiger doesn't waste energy chasing every rabbit, the warrior doesn't waste energy on meaningless battles. He saves his strength for what truly matters. There's a quiet confidence that comes from this kind of strength, a stillness that others can feel. When you walk into a room, you don't need to speak to be respected. Your presence alone communicates power. Because peace radiates, it cannot be faked. It comes from a deep understanding that you are in control of yourself, and therefore, no one can control you. This kind of power makes people uncomfortable not because it threatens them, but because it exposes their lack of inner calm. A peaceful man reflects others' chaos back at them. He becomes a mirror, showing them their own imbalance. That is why people often mistake peace for arrogance. But it's not arrogance, it's awareness. The more still you become, the more you disturb those who rely on noise to feel alive. Being a warrior of peace also means protecting others not with dominance, but with presence. When your energy is steady, others find calm around you. When your words are measured, they heal rather than harm. When your actions are intentional, they inspire rather than intimidate. You don't lead with fear, you lead with example. You don't shout for respect, you earn it through integrity. A warrior's peace is not fragile, it's forged through fire. You must first experience chaos to understand stillness. You must fall to learn balance. You must face pain to cultivate compassion. Each challenge in your life is not there to destroy you. It's there to refine you. Every insult, every betrayal, every failure is a test of your composure. The more you can remain still in the face of turbulence, the closer you are to true mastery. Think about it. The ocean doesn't panic during the storm. The surface may rage, but the depths remain silent and unmoved. That is what inner peace feels like. You can face noise, negativity, and pressure, yet remain grounded in your center. That's what it means to live with power without ego. Peace also requires forgiveness, not for others, but for yourself. Many people carry guilt, regret, and anger from the past. They replay old mistakes, punishing themselves over and over. But the warrior of peace understands that holding on to the past is like carrying stones in your pocket while trying to climb a mountain. You can't rise until you release. Forgive yourself, for who you were when you didn't know better. Forgive others for what they did when they couldn't do better. That is how you lighten your load. To practice this peace, you must build daily habits of awareness. Begin each morning in silence. Breathe, reflect, and prepare your mind for the day. When challenges come, observe them like clouds passing through the sky. Don't chase them, don't fight them, just let them drift. Respond slowly, thoughtfully, intentionally. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, you sharpen your discipline. The warrior of peace is not emotionless. He feels everything deeply, but his emotions don't control his decisions. He may feel anger, but he chooses patience. He may feel sadness, but he chooses wisdom. He may feel fear, but he chooses courage. His power lies in the space between feeling and acting, that sacred pause where awareness lives. And in that space lies freedom. The freedom to choose your response, to stay aligned with your principles, to live without being controlled by circumstance. That is what makes you unbreakable, because no one can take from you what you no longer depend on, not peace, not self-respect, not clarity. So, be a warrior, but not of conflict, not of ego, not of violence. Be a warrior of peace. Stand tall, not because you wish to dominate, but because you have mastered yourself. Speak softly, but carry an unshakable spirit. Fight only when you must, and even then, fight with purpose, not pride. Let your presence silence chaos, your stillness calm storms, and your integrity inspire others to rise. This is not just strength, it's enlightenment in motion. The calm warrior doesn't just survive the world, he transforms it. He turns conflict into understanding, aggression into awareness, resistance into flow. He walks through life untouched by noise because his peace is his armor, his wisdom his sword, his discipline his shield. Remember this: the greatest warrior is the one who never has to fight, because his very presence ends the battle before it begins. When your peace becomes so strong that chaos dissolves in your calm, you have reached the highest state of mastery. That is the way. That is the ultimate victory, to hold immense power, yet remain profoundly at peace. When you begin this journey, you think strength means control, control of others, of outcomes, of life itself. But as you walk deeper, you realize that true strength is not about control, it's about harmony. It's not about fighting the world, it's about mastering the self. Every lesson you've learned, from anger to stillness, from pain to detachment, from focus to peace, has been preparing you for this single truth: the world cannot touch a man who has mastered his own mind. When you can remain calm while others lose their temper, patient when life rushes you, compassionate when you are wronged, and steady when everything falls apart, you are no longer reacting to life. You are creating it. You have become the eye of the storm, still, powerful, and free. Understand this: nothing outside you has power unless you hand it that power. The insult, the failure, the loss, they are only sparks. You decide whether they burn you or light your fire. The untrained mind reacts. The mastered mind observes. The world throws chaos, but the awakened man transforms chaos into clarity. To live this way, you must become both warrior and monk, strong in action, but still in spirit. You must move through life like water, adaptable, patient, yet unstoppable. You must carry your peace within you, like a flame that no wind can extinguish. That flame is your awareness, your calm, your center. Do not chase happiness, create it. Do not seek freedom. Realize that it was always within you. Stop trying to prove your worth, simply embody it. The man who owns nothing within cannot be controlled by anything without. This is the essence of mastery. This is what Bruce Lee meant when he said, "Be water, my friend." Because when you flow with life, when you stop resisting, when you stop clinging, when you stop reacting, you become untouchable. So walk this path with awareness. Speak less, Move with purpose. Observe without judgment. Train your mind every day, as you would train your body. Let every challenge refine you, not define you. Let every emotion guide you, not control you. And remember, peace is not something you find, it's something you build, moment by moment, breath by breath. When you reach that state, when nothing outside you can disturb the silence within you, will finally understand what it means to be truly alive, truly free, and truly undefeatable. Because the one who masters himself can never be affected again.